The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
The trial of Adrian Gonzales, a former Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District police officer, wrapping up in Corpus Christi, Texas, as the lingering grief over the 2022 Robb Elementary School massacre continues. Gonzales, who was among the first officers on the scene of the deadliest school shooting in Texas history, is charged with 29 counts of child endangerment for allegedly failing to confront the shooter and protect students as the gunfire raged. Prosecutors say Gonzales did not follow his active shooter training and left children in imminent danger, even after hearing shots and being told about the shooter's location. The defense insists he acted within chaotic conditions and did what he could. Now, all the evidence is in and the arguments have been made, and it's time to hear from the jury. But first, it is an alleged murder plot that can only be described as cold, calculated, and absolutely twisted. IRS agent Brendan Banfield is charged with aggravated murder in the February 2023 killings of his wife, Christine Banfield, and a man named Joseph Ryan. Both were killed inside their Herndon, Virginia home. Prosecutors allege Banfield orchestrated the killings to conceal his affair with the family's Brazilian au pair, Juliana Magalhães. They say Banfield impersonated his wife on a fetish website, catfishing Joseph Ryan into believing Christine wanted him to sneak into the house to play out a rape fantasy with a knife. According to the au pair testimony, Banfield shot Ryan and then stabbed Christine while staging the scene to look like a home invasion. Banfield is facing life behind bars and has pleaded not guilty. And today, the defense presenting their evidence in the case. And tonight, you will see all the big moments. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us here on Closing Arguments. As you can see, we're in a verdict watch in Texas in the Uvalde school officer trial. Anything happens there, you'll see it, you'll hear it right here on the program. But I want to begin this hour talking about the au pair affair murder trial. And I want to begin because even though we're at the end of the prosecution case, I have a lot of questions. Like, did she know? Did Christine know? Did she have any idea that her husband was having an affair with the family's au pair, was traveling to New York to spend the new year with the au pair, was engaging in shenanigans inside the marital home? Did she know? Did she have any idea? And if you believe the prosecution case, and if you believe the au pair, did she know that her husband was capable of plotting her murder? Another question I have is about the au pair and Brendan Banfield. Were they in love? Was this about love? About wanting to spend a life together? Getting rid of Christine? The reason, now again, if you believe the au pair's testimony that they plotted and planned all of this together, they'd have to be in love. Like, what else could drive you to the point to come up with this really cold, calculated murder plan? Unless you were in love and you were going to spend your lives together and you needed somebody out of the way. I mean, my answer to the question, I believe that they were. That they absolutely were, and that was part of the driving force here. If you believe the testimony of the au pair, and if you believe her admission that she took part in a murder. So that brings me to another question I have about Brendan Banfield. Why not divorce? Very common, unfortunately, but it's very common. Sometimes marriages don't work out. Sometimes people fall out of love. Sometimes people fall in love with someone else. Sometimes they just, for whatever reason. And again, I go back to what the au pair testified about, which was the child, their daughter. Brendan did not think that Christine was a great mother. Brendan wanted custody of that child. And if you just get a divorce, it's going to be shared custody, unless someone is really outrageous. And primary custody may very well end up being with the mom. And it's a different kind of life. And it seemed like he just wanted to, if you believe the au pair, replace his wife with Juliana. Now, there is one question that there it is already, that I don't have any, there's one question that I have the answer to already. And that's the question of why the au pair pleaded guilty. Because she's going home. At the end of all this, she just goes home. Easy, right? All right. We're in the defense case. Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft, join us live from outside the courthouse in Fairfax County, Virginia. Great to see you, Kelly. We're in the defense case. They call a digital forensics expert. How important was this testimony for the defense, and what happened here?
Hey there, Vinny. Definitely very important for the defense, because what the defense is saying is that this digital forensics expert, his findings really go against this catfishing theory by the prosecution. So their idea that Brendan and the au pair were on Christine Banfield's devices. They used those devices to lure Joseph Ryan to the home. But this witness in particular is saying that in his findings, there was no indication that Christine Banfield ever gave up possession of those digital devices. We're talking about her cell phone as well as her computer. So that is very important for defense counsel's case, because that refutes the entire prosecution theory that this was a setup, this was premeditated, and that they had this whole thing planned. So important testimony. I will say, sitting in the courtroom for this testimony, it was a little bit chaotic, a little bit of a mess when defense counsel was questioning him. Then he had another digital forensics expert come in, and there were a lot of objections by the Commonwealth. Eventually got the act together and got out some important testimony. Let's go ahead and play a little bit of it.
What's the significance of January 9th, 2023 in this investigation?
That was a date that a Gmail account was created. Okay. Based on what I had at the time, it indicated that the device owner was using the device.
Okay. Now, you've put in this summary January 17th. Is that a significant date?
Yes.
Okay. What's the significance of that date?
That was another date that an account was created.
And was that the FetLife account?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the relationship, if any, between the Gmail account that was created on January 9th and the FetLife account that was created on January 17th?
The Gmail account that had been created on January 9th was the email account that was used in the creation of the FetLife account.
Okay. And were you able to determine through your expertise who had control of the device, Christine's devices on that day?
I was able to determine that it was her phone involved in creating that device. I was able to determine that it was her phone used in the creation of that account, okay, based on a variety of returns.
And did you make any conclusions at that time?
So he made these findings, Vinny, before the au pair came out and said this whole thing was a setup, that they orchestrated, her and Brendan Banfield orchestrated this entire thing, got a hold of Christine Banfield's devices and pretended to be her. In light of that new information, the witness that you just heard testify was asked to review his findings, and his findings did not change. So defense counsel really made that clear, and also talking about the fact that he eventually was transferred out of the department. I will tell you, sitting inside the courtroom, when he was talking about being transferred, there were a lot of eyebrows being raised because people were wondering, well, why was he transferred? And he said he was transferred because of his workings on the Banfield case.
Oh, that's problematic. Oh, that's a problem for prosecutors. That is not good. That's not good. Okay. Defense also called their own blood spatter expert. We had a lot of testimony about blood spatter, the significance of it, trying to place Brendan Banfield at the scene at the time of the killing. What do we know about that?
This particular witness was saying that this evidence, blood evidence, is really not a science, it's an art, and you have to look at the shape and the size of the blood droplets. And her conclusions did not, she did not come to the same conclusion, of course, as the Commonwealth's witness, who was saying and indicating that the crime scene possibly appeared to be manipulated. And this witness was saying, no, she could not come to that conclusion. Let's go ahead and listen to what she had to say.
The size helps to inform that, and then the shape itself and the fact that we had this target surface to eliminate any of those other mechanisms, to only say that these are coming from trip stains and coming from above was part of the problem. Going further, if they were trip stains, it doesn't mean that because his arm was this way that he was down on the ground. It just means that the arm was in a position horizontal to where the passive drop was coming. The orientation of your body and where that is in relation to where the blood is coming from is going to be how it will look like on that surface. But it's hard to then say, oh, the person was in this position just because there's something circular here that I think is a drip stain, and therefore because it's coming from above, he has to be on the ground laying down.
So during her testimony, Vinnie, jurors were taking a lot of notes, and she was putting out a good thought in that we can't make that conclusion. When I looked at the evidence, this is what she was saying, and I looked at the blood droplets, I didn't even take it a step further because I didn't get these same ideas that the crime scene would have been manipulated.
And again, another strong witness for the defense here in making some of the points they want to make here. Finally, I want to ask you about this because Brendan Banfield was not at the house in some of the videos that we've seen already, right? Because he went with Christine to the hospital, and there's some body camera video of Brendan that we and the jury got to see.
Yes, and they played the audio of this inside the courtroom today, and during it, Vinnie, Brendan Banfield, the defendant, was having a really hard time listening to it. He got emotional at times. This was when that audio was playing of when he was being told that his wife had passed away. Let's go ahead and play that.
The status of his wife, ma'am.
Hi, sir. My name is Gina. I'm one of the doctors here. Your wife has died. So sorry.
Where's the daughter?
Where's that?
She's still at the scene, sir. She's with the other officers.
When that was being played, Vinnie, it was definitely emotional inside the courtroom. On the Commonwealth side, you have Christine Banfield's family sitting behind the prosecutor's table, and they were very emotional when that was being played. And I wanted to mention something else when you were talking about the au pair in this case and how she received the deal to be going back home after this case is over for time served. Also, she had testified, remember, that Brendan Banfield, never came to visit her when she was behind bars. So to the idea that they were in love, maybe if he would have come and visited her in jail, she would have continued on with the story of, according to her letters, taking the fall for both of them. That was according to a letter she wrote while behind bars.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe he just left her there. No communication. Out in the cold on her own. What is she supposed to do?
Yes.
Fascinating. All right, Kelly Craft, getting ready for the snow in Virginia with the rest of the folks on the East Coast and in the South. Thank you so much. We'll speak again tomorrow. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining me tonight, live in studio, criminal defense attorney, former assistant state attorney in Miami-Dade County, and a former assistant DA in Atlanta, Daryl Cohen, also with us, criminal defense attorney and law professor Meg Strickler, and the man behind the glasses, criminal defense attorney Josh Schiffer. Great to see everyone. There's a bunch of places I want to go here, but let me start with this. What?
Bunch of places.
How about a bunch of places? How about people in relationships based on cheating and lying? Super not trustworthy.
Right. Okay. Yes. But let's start here. I want to go back to something that Kelly was talking about, which is the creation of the account itself. It seems the defense is making the argument that there was an officer who felt like Christine is the one who made the account on FetLife and set up this kinky rape fantasy, knife play rendezvous for 7 o'clock in the morning. If that is their argument, then they're also arguing that the au pair had nothing to do with any murder plot, yet pleaded guilty.
That's a lot for them to swallow. No, it's part of the
Right, because that's the logical extension. If Christine creates it, it's not that the au pair is guilty of doing anything. She's 100% innocent and pleaded guilty to something she didn't do.
It's get her done justice, because guess what? They got her done. They're going to get the big conviction, and the little convictions fall to the side. You'd be blown away how many cases where after they get the big target, all the other, doesn't matter. They dismiss co-defendant charges all the time, only after sitting on them for weeks, months, or years trying to get cooperation.
Just remember, your cheating heart didn't work. That's all I've got to say. This is a very interesting defense. It certainly makes the courtroom more interesting. Jurors, we're not allowed to see them. They're not falling asleep. They're listening. Whether they're paying attention and believe it, we'll find out.
And will it give us reasonable doubt? I mean, is it going to get to the point?
Does the defense have to make that argument, or do they just say, this is no good, you can't believe her, you can't believe this? But like when you put together those two things, that Christine is the one who wants Joseph Ryan to come over, and the au pair then is making up all of this, or worse, the prosecution is feeding her lines.
So where's the betrayal? What's the betrayal that the juror's gonna connect with? Is it the state betraying? Is it the defense betraying? There's a bunch of questions, and that's bluntly how you separate a jury, make them get into an argument, and potentially lead to a hung or an acquittal. So I get it.
I'm in jail. He didn't come visit me. I'm not going to get mad. Oh, no, I'm going to get even. But I want to go back to Brazil, frankly. I really need to get back to my home. I don't think this is credible. I don't think the jury is going to buy it. I don't even think they're going to lease it.
Yeah, and just generally, just kind of forget all these facts and things we're talking about. In general, globally, he does not look like somebody who is innocent. And I think if you boil it down, they're going to be fighting in the back, just like 12 Angry Men in the movie, but they're going to come to a guilty.
He doesn't look innocent?
We talked about this off camera, and his demeanor and appearance is one of the biggest struggles he has. He is not someone that you look at and go, oh, yeah, let's invest a lot of trust.
He worked for the IRS. He's a people person.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to get this people. I'm going to get that people.
Yeah.
But he'd have had some counseling from his lawyers to learn to sit a little more confidently.
Right. Yeah, that does not look confident.
No.
Right there. No.
Looks
Dress
guilty
differently,
and shameful.
look better, understand how you yawn to relax your face. He's not doing anything that's helping.
But how about this, though? And you know, we're coming off the Karen Reed case, right? And there are repercussions that case has had and the way people look at police. We've got this officer now who believed that Christine herself could have set up this FetLife account, and he's transferred off the case because of that opinion.
Well, that's all
is that enough to get a juror really angry with the state and perhaps believe that it's reasonable that the state would feed the lines to the au pair and then give her a ticket to Brazil?
Absolutely not. Too far.
I think a juror could believe that, but they shouldn't believe that.
And you're
There's
not
a
going to get it. No, it's not enough.
I think it's not a story, but I'm with Daryl that it could absolutely, especially if there's a couple, if it's not just one, but definitely something that would cause problems in a jury room.
All right, we've got a lot to get to. Did you just see what happened, folks? Did you look? Did you see? Look, did the clock stop? The clock stopped. We're getting word. There's some action, perhaps a verdict, although I think it is a verdict in Uvalde. We'll take you to Texas for that verdict live coming up right here on Closing Arguments, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, prosecutors say they have video evidence showing Paul Canero at his brother's house just before killing him. But was Paul Canero actually caught on camera? Tonight, we investigate.
The Court TV podcast will return.
Welcome back. The verdict is in the Uvalde case involving former officer Adrian Gonzales, who is being charged with 29 counts of child endangerment for not taking action during the shooting in the school there that took the lives of 19 children and 2 teachers. You see folks gathering in the gallery getting ready for this verdict. It's going to take a few minutes. We're keeping an eye on it. We'll take you there when it happens, so you will see this moment when it comes up. In the meantime, we're going to continue our coverage of the au pair affair murder trial. And I want to go through the prosecution's catfish theory in this case. We've heard that word a lot through the course of this trial. And it really begins with Brendan Banfield and Christine Banfield. This is a couple, and they are married. And my guess is that Christine believes that they are happily married. Christine, and there they are, the happy couple. Banfield, they then hire Juliana Magalese as their au pair, and when they bring her into the household, within a few months, she starts having an affair with the husband, the father, Brendan Banfield. Then, Brendan and Juliana, again, this is the prosecution theory, make a plan to get rid of Christine. They use Christine's laptop and phone and create a fake email address and a fake FetLife account under the name Anastasia. They contact different men on the website looking for someone to engage in a rape fantasy scenario. They eventually connect with a man named Joseph Ryan and arrange for him to sneak into Christine's room while she's asleep to engage in knife play. That's when Brendan comes in, finds his wife allegedly, being stabbed. That's what they believe the cover story would be. He shoots Joseph Ryan, then stabs his wife, and then makes it look like the intruder is the one who killed Christine. Now, before Joseph Ryan went to the house, there was an exchange of a bunch of messages back and forth, extensive, and a 40-minute phone conversation with the au pair. So, all this catfishing, I wanted to get to the bottom of this. How does this happen? There's only one person in the world that you want to speak to, and I want to bring him in. Special guest joining us, deception and catfish expert Nev Schulman is with us. Of course, you know him for years and years and years for the great work he did on MTV. Nev, great to see you. What's your reaction here, right? Because someone under these circumstances, right? So you're on this fetish website, so everybody's looking for a different kind of love, right? And he's able to be convinced that someone is trying to hook up with him who really isn't her. Are there flags that go up? Are you surprised that they were able to pull this off, if you believe the prosecution?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. If we are to believe the prosecution in this case, I would say it is very believable that any individual, whether they're on a fetish website or just Facebook, when approached with a scenario that appeals to them, in this case, a beautiful young woman saying that she'd like to engage in a sexual, fetish act, would very quickly, in most cases, buy into it. And I've personally dealt with so many situations where intelligent, young people have, for months, and in some cases even years, been convincingly deceived by people of the opposite sex pretending to be, love interests. So it's very possible that this story played out the way that the prosecution says it did. What surprises me, though, is that, the details of it are pretty elaborate. I mean, for Brendan to have that much access and time on his wife's phone, to set up the accounts, to log in, to create the profile, to interact and message with people. I mean, that requires, I would imagine, a lot of back and forth, which to me seems, not impossible, but, to be sneaking on and off your wife's phone like that, as a married man is not something that I would dare do. So I don't know. That part gets me a little hung up.
Well, apparently he was engaging in the affair with the au pair in the house while Christine was there also. So that might make it a little bit more believable that somehow, some way, there were moments where they could kind of sneak away. But again, you have to get into her device to do it as well. Let me ask you about the phone call, because, it's 2023. We all have access to video calling. This was an audio call only.
Sure.
Because he had a picture of Christine, but he's allegedly speaking with the au pair, who not only doesn't look like Christine, but also has an accent because she's from Brazil, speaks Portuguese as her native language. What are your thoughts about that part of what happened here?
Yeah, I mean, again, if I'm an expert on anything, it's that when someone wants to be convinced of something or wants to believe that something is true, it's amazing what they're willing to overlook, whether it's just the complete absence of details or wildly obvious red flags. So if this gentleman from the fetish website was excited about meeting with Christine and had made his mind up that this was something that he was going to go through with, I doubt very much there was a lot that could happen for him to feel unsafe or even really reconsider going and seeing for himself. I think, a lot of guys feel as though, what's the worst that could happen? That, I'll figure it out. If it doesn't work out, okay, whatever. I've burned an hour or two and a couple gallons of gas, no big deal. Obviously, I don't think he ever thought he would end up dead.
No, I've been here at Court TV for many, many years. This is one of the most twisted, elaborate, alleged plots that we've seen. And it involves so many different layers and levels of deception taking place all at once. I have time for one final question with you, Nev. And again, we appreciate you coming on here. It's 2023, right? And I mentioned the video aspect of communications that happen these days. My question takes us even further away from this case, but just in general, is catfishing still taking place today, and are people still falling victim?
Absolutely. My concern is that catfishing is actually getting easier and far more pervasive. Now it's easy for anyone to access technology with their phone via AI to not only create an entirely fake person, which becomes untraceable. You can't reverse image search. There's no way to really identify that this person is or isn't real. But even more so now, you can actively have a live conversation where it turns you and your voice and your face and responses into that of the person you've created. So, I'm very actively looking for ways to get back out into the world and continue helping people avoid the many red flags and pitfalls of digital online relationships, because there are more now than ever before.
Yeah. It's skin scary. And all that's going to impact our system of justice as well. You mentioned AI, like what's real, what's fake. The lines are so blurred. Nev Schulman, great to have you on the program, the man who actually coined the phrase catfishing. We appreciate it. Have a great night.
Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, we still have our eyes on what's happening in Uvalde. Folks gathering in the gallery, in the courtroom. We're moments away from a verdict. You'll see it live when we return.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
Welcome back. The verdict is in Uvalde. There's a live look inside the gallery. Word from the courtroom is we're waiting for the defendant, Adrian Gonzales, the former police officer, to arrive inside the courtroom. And I believe when he gets in there, they will assemble everyone and deliver this verdict. And there's the defendant walking in. And, you know, you take a moment to think about what this moment is like. Yes, he's not facing life in prison, but he is facing a potential 58 years. Someone who at one point was a police officer, and his job was to serve and protect and put people into jail. And here he is now, moments away from finding out whether or not he will become a convicted felon and end up behind bars in prison.
All right, please be seated in the courtroom. Members of the jury, I've received information that you have a verdict. Could I have the presiding juror stand momentarily? Is that verdict unanimous, sir?
Yes, sir.
As to each of the 29 counts?
Yes, sir.
Could you hand it to the bailiff for me, and you may be seated? Could I have defendant and counsel please rise? All right, because number 25 FC 0001U, the state of Texas versus Adrian Gonzales, in each of the 29 counts, we, the jury, find the defendant, Adrian Gonzales, not guilty. You see it? All right, members of the jury, I want to thank each and every one of you for your close attention and your patience and being with us timely throughout this trial. I know it was not easy for you. I know everybody was drafted, nobody volunteered. It was a long endeavor, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I'm going to ask you one more time to go with the bailiff to the jury room, and we'll release you from back there. But thank each and every one of you, and would everyone rise for the jury to be excused? All right, Mr. Gonzales, you were acquitted by the jury. Your lawyers can talk to you more about this, but you do have the opportunity within a timely manner to file for that expunction. They will tell you further about that, but it's incumbent on me to tell you that immediately after the verdict is returned. All right, we're in recess. Thank you very much. I'm going to tell them, folks, it's up to you. They're released from their instructions.
Adrian Gonzales has been found not guilty on all 29 charges. He'll go home tonight a free man. Was facing real time in prison for his alleged inaction on the day of the massacre at Robb Elementary School on May 24th, 2022. This is a big deal. Obviously, the families of the victims are going to be disappointed. Their hearts broken. They felt something could have been done to help save their children and those 2 teachers who were taken out. And the fingers pointed at Adrian Gonzales.
They're released from all their previous instructions.
But the jury came back and spoke very clearly 29 times. He did not commit a crime. He is not a felon. Think tank still with me. Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, and Josh Schiffer. Let's go around the horn here as we continue to watch the aftermath here. Go ahead, Daryl.
Precisely and exactly the verdict that should have happened. This was the most horrible massacre I can even imagine. But to continue and prosecute someone who, you've got to be there. You had to have been there when he was there with all of the other police officers. Maybe they should have done more. Could they have done more? I don't know. But to continue to prosecute, in my view, was inappropriate, and it was exactly the verdict that I hoped and I thought would happen.
I agree. He was a scapegoat, and this is a tremendously sad, horrible, horrible situation, and it pains me to think about being there, and I wouldn't know how to react. He obviously didn't know how to react, and he didn't do right. But did it rise to criminal? No. And the jury decided what I think is the correct verdict.
And it really, it's almost cruelty theater. This was, in my opinion, an unnecessary act by the state. I understand wanting to get elected and wanting to do something, show a reaction after a massacre that is just horrifying. Like, there's no words to fully express the massacre of these children. But then to answer with a prosecution unnecessarily of someone who is a sworn, or was a sworn police officer, someone who showed up that day trying to save these children, who is torturing himself for the rest of his life. Mm-hmm. Every one of those officers, the 70 officer, trauma.
All of them already have punishment from being there.
Justice was done. I know that every minute of every day when any of the officers who were there are aware of what could have happened and what did happen, they're all going to be punished, self-punished for the rest of their life. But to prosecute him, in my view, was just plain wrong.
Well, we saw a similar action, reaction, and result in Florida in the Parkland case, Officer Scott Peterson. Let me ask you this. This is a bigger question, because in these mass murder school shootings, the shooter, obviously, responsible. Many times they don't survive. Here they didn't survive. Sometimes they do. But there's a movement now to hold others responsible in these cases, right? Parents, we're seeing that in a couple of cases already. Here, police officers, not the first time, police officers in their response or perceived lack of response being held criminally responsible. To me, is this the place where civil and criminal, there should be a distinct, like, you can still hold someone responsible for their actions without trying to put them in jail?
Absolutely, and that's where the civil remedies have been so thoroughly weakened in order to support law enforcement, in order to support first responders. We've taken the accountability part of that and destroyed it. There used to be something, still is, called a 1983 suit, where you could sue for the fundamental the suppression of a fundamental right, life, freedom. You know, that's how you got your remedy from a state actor. But we've taken that code section and destroyed it. The qualified immunity, the transactional immunity. There are so many different ways where we've made it impossible to get any kind of accountability. This is really the only accountability that anybody could get here. It just unfortunately was wrongly placed criminal against a police officer who did nothing? Come on.
I think
my worry is more on the practical side. What about every other police officer who may encounter this very situation? Would he or she want to be there? Would they say, baby, that worries me more because it was horrible what happened.
What worries you is people not wanting to be a police officer because you are potentially criminally responsible in the way you respond to a situation.
Because we're human beings, we're not robots, even though they now have robots. We, training or not, we undergo the same fight or flight response. And there's a time when people who think rationally, I want to help these kids. I don't know what I can do, but I don't want to die.
Well, I mean, and once you start extending responsibility criminally, like, isn't there, where would it end, right? Does it end with, well, who designed the security? Like, who designed how someone could get into the building? And if someone didn't design it correctly, or a door wasn't locked that was supposed to be locked, are we then going to go after maybe a maintenance person? So I guess the question is, where does the line draw? Where do you draw the line? Police officers, obviously, their job is to serve and protect. So I could see why they chose police to go after here. In this case, parents are the ones who are closest and may have inside knowledge. Where do you think we go, though? We have less than a minute left here.
I have an answer. It takes a village. Take a step back and work harder to have a community. And so that we can see when there's issues and try to not have it happen. And because, you know, we can have many metal detectors, we can have police, we can have all these things, but we've got to take a step back and start caring for each other.
And we've got to bring back the idea of fairness and accountability because our system has become so imbalanced when it comes to holding people responsible, criminally or civilly.
All right. Big thanks, Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, Josh Schiffer. Glad you were here to help us through this very emotional and powerful verdict. All right, folks, when we come back, something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, a burning home in Colts Neck, New Jersey revealed 4 dead bodies, not from the fire, but from a gun and a knife. Did Paul Canaro drive his Porsche in the middle of the night to kill his brother's family? Tonight, we investigate.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. In custody in Ohio, that is Michael McKee, who's arrested in the December murders of Spencer and Monique Tepe in Columbus, Ohio, was arrested in Illinois, and now has been extradited to Ohio to face these charges. Big deal. Also, MyStateline.com reporting that authorities said agents with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, arrested McKee just after 9:30 a.m. on Saturday, January 10th. How do I know it was Saturday and not Sunday? He was arrested at a Rockford Chick-fil-A. At a press conference in Columbus on Monday, police said McKee was arrested near his place of employment. All right, folks, take a look at your TV screens. We have a missing child who needs your help tonight. This is Nazir Clark, missing since January 15th out of Savannah, Georgia, just 15 years old. If you see Nazir, please pick up the phone, make the call. 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you call the Savannah Police Department in Georgia. Numbers up on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Nazir to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.
There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.